I tried to beat Skyrim on the hardest difficulty with the worst weapons, and I wish I hadn't. Hi, I am MedioCore and I'm best known for making subpar RPG videos. If for whatever reason that is something you enjoy, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. With that out of the way, let's get cooking. A journey of 1,000 miles always starts with a single step. And for this journey, that first step would be my cook's build.
Rachel.
Yes, chef.
I can't take anymore. I don't know where you are. You donut!
This build uses the weapon variant of the knife and fork, which are statistically one of the worst, if not the worst weapons in the entirety of Skyrim. The fork comes in at a base damage of 1, and with proper training, perks and improvements, that damage will stay 1. The knife, in the other hand, has a base damage of 2. To add insult to injury, they also cannot be improved with the smithing skill, which makes it safe to assume that anyone who uses these weapons to clear the game on Legendary should be on a watch list. But people don't watch my stuff for my mental stability. For this challenge, I made a point out of it to never take off the chef's hat. To keep the integrity of this run intact, I laid down a few ground rules. This will prevent me from using game-breaking glitches that might make this challenge too easy, but I also want to give myself a fighting chance, so I will be tapping into mechanics like alchemy and such. And that's everything. Let's get started. Realistically, the only way to get this done would be by playing as an orc. This way, we can leverage the racial ability, Green Privilege. This power can be used once a day to lower all damage taken by half. Another advantage is that all of our physical damage is doubled. I crunched the numbers and I came to the conclusion that this is huge. To complete this challenge, I would have to finish the main questline. This is how that went. I started out as a property owner in Riften. Not a great start, but no place to go but up. I picked up the knife and fork from my porch and then set out to do some miscellaneous quests. This gave me 2 invisibility potions. Of course, we would also need some proper clothing. Turns out, as I was butchering an old lady in her orphanage to acquire her dress, I serendipitously was recruited into the Dark Brotherhood, which awarded us with some proper light armor. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the hood because my head is reserved exclusively for the chef's hat and powerful thighs. To that end, I visited Windhelm and I got a chef's hat from the kitchen. Now I was decked out and ready to cook. I spent some time gathering ingredients, focusing specifically on vegetable soup, healing potions and rat poison. If that sounds boring as that's because it is. The end goal of all of this was clearing Bleak barrows and have a first taste of actual combat. So right when my stream ran the risk of becoming even remotely interesting, my internet got out. That was 4 months ago. But I am still gonna finish this, so let's get into it. Even with my room temperature IQ, I knew that I needed all the help I could get. So I set out to befriend some alchemists around Skyrim. Everything was going well, until this happened.
My daughter Fura was assigned to Whiterun after she joined the Imperial Army. I was hoping you might have met her.
She's not with us anymore.
I told her. I told her the Imperial Army would kill her.
I'm so sorry.
Don't forget me next time you need herbs and potions.
Alright, see you later. I was now able to make potions that would help me in my battles. There's just one downside to this, and ironically enough, that is leveling up. Every time my total level increases, the enemies and challenges also become harder, just like in real life. It would be in my best interest to not level up too much. It was at this point that I noticed that every little thing you do leads to a skill increase. A balance had to be found between not over-leveling and having enough supplies. With that in mind, I set out on the main quest. I warned the people of Whiterun about the return of the dragons, and was then sent to investigate Bleak Barrow. This section serves as an introduction to dungeons, which are typically full of combat encounters. This meant that some creativity on my part was needed. I snuck behind the arches to enter the front door unnoticed. I downed an invisibility potion to pass the guards at the front and let natural selection do its thing. I then ran into the biggest challenge yet. 3 medium-sized rats. They proved too much to face at the same time, so I used the lever to close the gate and separate them from their group. After I got each of them alone, I would activate Berserker's Rage and then prepare them to put on the barbecue. Since Berserker's Rage can only be activated once per day, I waited 24 hours after each kill to repeat the cycle. It took 3 business days, but this was the only way I could get it done. Next up would be that big ass spider. It went about as well as I expected. Upon reflection, there ain't no way in hell, so I just ran past it. Now all we had to do was retrieve the claw from the guy that is stuck in the spiderwebs. To retrieve it, he actually needs to die first, so I called in the homies. It wasn't long until they turned on me, so I clutched it out of there. After applying some next level creative problem solving skills, it was time to move on to the last challenge of this quest. The only way to acquire the Dragonstone tablet is to pry it from the cold dead hands of the dungeon boss. Under normal circumstances, this guy is a beast, so as you can imagine, this was f***ing impossible. It seems like my knife wasn't going to cut the mustard. We needed a new plan. I left the dungeon and I stocked up on even more ingredients and potions. Since I wasn't too keen on going through the whole dungeon again, I used a secret tunnel entrance. At this point, I noticed that his health bar hadn't recovered yet. Upon seeing this, my brain gave birth to an idea. My base damage was 2. Berserker's Rage can double that amount. Sneak attacks will double that amount. And our gloves will double any sneak damage. What you end up with is not that great. But what if we were to do that exact combo, run from battle, wait 24 hours and then repeat? We cracked the code. Now it was just a matter of doing it 5,000 times. I had varying levels of success. For obvious reasons, I will not show all of the clips in which damage was done, but once I got 30 sneak, I chose a perk that sextupled my sneak attack with one-handed weapons. After that, it was actually pretty manageable. It took 20 million business days, but this was the only way I could get it done. There was just one thing left I had to do before I could move on.
You got the right to suck my dick!
With the Dragonstone in hand, I moved on to the next quest. I bravely led the charge against the dragon attack by shouting commands from a safe distance. Watch out for his flame attack. Oh. Under my superior guidance and leadership, we bested the reptile. Also, I am the Dragonborn of Legends.
Capable as he may be, I don't see any signs of him being this, Dragonborn.
You have sealed your fate. Haha, a classic. And with that, I restored my reputation in Whiterun.
I meant no disrespect. I see signs of him being Dragonborn.
Good boy. With my honor intact, I set out to complete the Agent of Mara questline, which permanently reduces all magic damage taken by 15%. Now it was off to the Greybeards. They tasked me with retrieving the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Due to the large number of enemies, this proved somewhat problematic. But much like real life, it is a viable option to not deal with your problems, consume copious amounts of drugs and sneak away from any repercussions. That's what got me through my childhood and it's what will get me through this dungeon. Of course, the horn isn't actually here, but we can collect the horn from Delphine in Riverwood.
You're looking for this.
We did it! We got the horn! Our next task was to prove our Dragonborn status to Delphine, so we had to kill a dragon. He was too powerful for Delphine and I, so we had to employ some old school tactics. Whoa! That dragon called your mother Harry! Now that the dragon was preoccupied with a fight for his life, I shanked the motherfucker. And that's how I gained Delphine's trust. Next up was infiltrating the Thalmor embassy, a task I greatly underestimated. But that's a story for another video, because the sequel is still cooking.